Hi, my name is Autif Kamal. This is my second video on logic and reasoning and my first video on terms. Below you'll find my contact info. You can send any questions, comments, or feedback to kautif@gmail.com. If you want to send your questions, comments, or feedback in live time, you can do that via my Skype user ID, autif.kamal. And you can also check out my website, webs.logicandreasoning.com. There you'll find links to my other videos for my logic and reasoning workshops, as well as supplementary exercises which you will not find in my videos. You can also leave any questions or comments about the material in the forums for other viewers to answer or for me to answer. You can also find a link to a chat room to meet with other viewers to discuss the content, either while or while not watching the videos. And you'll also find my office hours, which lets you know when is a good time to reach me in live time, either via Skype or in a link to a chat room. And you'll also find information on how to earn certificates by completing the supplementary exercises. Okay, so let's move on to terms and ambiguity. Now, this argument will illustrate how ambiguous terms in an argument make it misleading. Ambiguous terms make an argument misleading in terms of making it appear logical when it's not. For the first premise, all feathers are light objects. Light in the first premise falls under the general category weight, as in the weight of an object. In premise 2, all light objects have a bright color. Light in the second premise falls under the general category tint. Conclusion, all feathers have a bright color. Now, you actually cannot necessarily infer the conclusion all feathers have a bright color based on the given premises. That's because light in each the first and second premise fall under different general categories. Because they fall under different general categories, they definitely have different meanings. The meanings of the terms for the first and second premise must stay consistent in order to derive a conclusion based on them. Okay, so basically you have the same terms, but they're just reworded. And I just want to recap on something. Although light in the first and second premise are spelt the same, they're different terms because they have different meanings. Okay. Now, for the first premise, you have all feathers are lightweight objects. Premise 2, all lightly tinted objects have a bright color. The conclusion, all feathers have a bright color. Okay, now the first premise, lightweight, is equivalent to the meaning of the term in this argument. Okay, in the second premise, lightly tinted is equivalent to the meaning of the term in the second premise for this object. Okay, now the problem here with all feathers have a bright color is there was no connection made between feathers in premise 1 and lightly tinted in premise 2. Without that connection, you can't necessarily establish that all feathers have a bright color. And that's the problem with these arguments. Okay, so here's some more examples. You have 3 ambiguous terms, cast, free, and ruler. They could fall under at least 2 different general categories. That's the minimum you need to know whether they're ambiguous or not. You're actually going above and beyond, and you're putting too much effort by trying to figure out the different definitions of each of those terms, because all you have to do is figure out the general categories that they each fall under. So cast could fall under either people or throw. Free could either fall under cost, as in no cost, or action, being able to do something. Ruler could fall under the general category leader, or a type of tool, a measuring tool. Okay, here are 3 more examples. You have senior, measure, and bank. Try to think of at least 2 different general categories for each of those terms. You can pause the video now, or I'll move on to the next slide, which will give you the answers. And I'm going to move on right now. Okay, so for senior, you have age, as in like old age. Senior could also be a year in high school. Measure could be a plan of action or a kind of discernment. Bank could be a kind of institution or a kind of geographic area, such as a riverbank. Okay, now if you want to make your own exercises, you could go to books.google.com, find a book, try to take some terms from that book that you think might have different general categories. If you've found a term that does have different general categories, then you will have found a term which could be ambiguous, right? Which is ambiguous. Okay. Now for the next lesson, I'll go over how to make terms precise, because although making terms unambiguous helps to make them clear, it does not make them optimally clear if you do not also make them precise. So an example I give is survey. You could have different kinds of surveys, like a phonics or a demographic survey. Although both of those surveys fall under the general category survey, they are each different specific types of surveys. So watch the next lesson if you want to learn how to make your terms precise. Thank you.